We're live.
Okay.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to Egg Harbor Library's virtual program on drones. We're lucky today to have two drone users. We have Jeff Lutsey here, who is a hobbyist with drones. And we also have Ken Ulrich, who's here in the other room. He'll be joining us later on to talk drones too. But we're here today to let you know everything you need to know about drones, if it's something you're interested in. I have just a short story to tell about drones for you before we begin. I was out sailing with a friend, and we were being followed for, I would say, a good hour by a drone. And I waved to the drone, and the drone nodded back. So I wonder where that footage is. Also, I noticed, I'm going to add to the story, I like to go to Egg Harbor Beach in the evening and just sit and look at the sunset. And I have been seeing drone hobbyists there. I've seen two in the last month. And they just go zooming out over the water, and it is so cool. So I'm going to let Jeff take over and tell you about drones. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Great. Thanks, Janine. Quick, can everybody hear me okay? We always got to do a quick check on these Zoom calls.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, thanks, Janine. My name is Jeff Lutsey. Huge disclaimer up front. I am a total amateur. So I'm here to just talk through some of my motivations and things that I've learned getting started. But I only have a couple of months kind of logged. So that hopefully that's helpful, because I'm just new and fresh, and I can remember to kind of say things that I've learned along the way on picking a drone and then learning and everything like that. My similar story to Janine on the how I first kind of witnessed drones is at the fireworks in Egg Harbor. It was probably 4 or 5 years ago, and back then Egg Harbor had multiple private fireworks people, like on multiple piers, as well as the kind of main fireworks at the marina that were going on. And I remember just like normal enjoying all the beauty of the fireworks in our small little harbor in Egg Harbor. But then at the same time, I remember seeing these little points, these little buzzing bees flying around the fireworks. And then it might have even been 5 or 6 years ago. So it was kind of early on in this drone kind of the history. And so, but I remember seeing multiple drones flying in and out of the fireworks, and really they were quite far away, but they kind of looked like they were flying in and out. And I remember being fascinated by what it would look like to see the fireworks at that really high vantage point, and being a little bit jealous and being like, oh, I wish I could see it from there rather than this humble little spot on the lawn. So that was part of the beginning of my inspiration for just the idea of getting in the air and seeing things from a different vantage point. So as Janine mentioned, yeah, the goal here is basically to talk through what I've learned, hopefully for anybody that is interested in, I'm assuming the audience here is people that are interested in getting a drone that don't have one right now, or it's just for us to share our little war story, what we've learned along the way. So I put together a small little slideshow on material. I want this to be super conversational, and because that'll be the best just for learning and sharing. So if you have any questions, yeah, just unmute and ask away. And I just met Ken, and I'm glad Ken's here too. So Ken I have one kind of drone, Ken has a different one, and we can kind of talk through questions and criteria and thoughts about drones along the way. So any questions as we get started on things anybody really wants to make sure we talk about at some point, either during this initial presentation portion or when we go outside and fly?
This is Jim Mitchie. I'm a retired electrical engineer, so therefore I'm a geek and I love gadgets. I live in Sturgeon Bay, on Sturgeon Bay, and one of my primary questions is whatever legal restrictions are for drones. I've kind of looked into it a little bit, and we're less than 2 miles from Cherryland Airport. So I know that once upon a time that was really restrictive, but I'm interested in that and some of the characteristics of drones. But if it's not legal me to fly them in over the bay in front of my house, then and that makes the other points moot. Thank you.
Yeah, good. Okay, yeah, good. Thanks, Jim. We'll definitely touch on that a little bit. I know a little, but I don't know all the rules, but I know of a couple of thoughts there. So we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. So good. Any other questions or thoughts before I start through a couple of talking points? Okay, good. So I'm going to share the screen with some slides. I might not know where the slides are. Maybe I can find them. Okay, I think we're rolling. Can everybody see that?
Yep,
Yes,
Okay,
it's fine.
good.
you're good.
Can someone tell me where's the little button that makes it big?
Present next to share up in the right.
Good. Okay, thank you. All right, good. So as mentioned, my name is Jeff. I'm happy to be here. Happy to know we're all healthy and talking about fun hobbies. My goals are to talk through possible motivations. Jim talked about his, and we all, motivations and inspirations why we want drones are as various as we are. So I'll talk through a couple and what my personal motivations are. And then we'll try and talk through some of the rules, and then finish the kind of sit down portion of this with how to get started, how to start research and figure out if you want and which drone you might buy. And then the second half of this general discussion will be going outside and flying a drone around and seeing what other questions and thoughts people have when we do that. And so we'll fly at the end. We'll take 20 minutes or so and fly around and talk through the equipment. So it's not just all sitting on this presentation and slides. So as mentioned, everybody's got their own motivation, assuming because we all signed up and we're voluntary here, we all have our interests on drones. For me personally, I got my drone, I just love flying. I'm a private pilot, and I'm not current, so I haven't been flying indoor county for a couple of years, but I always love flying, and I love the concept of flying, and I love being as high as I can to see as much as I can. So for me, it's all about feeling like flying, and grabbing a new vantage point. It's clear we live in one of the most beautiful places in the country and the world, and I like to see things from up high, to see the cliffs and to see the way different natural landscapes work. So those are my chief motivations, and also in doing that, of course, it's not just the visual you get from the drone when you're done, because you don't get the exact way of flying. You get to look at it afterwards. So it's not as good as flying, but it's close. So it's all about taking the photographs and the videos and then enjoying them yourselves, as well as sharing them to other people. To hopefully share that panorama, that vantage point. Lots of good business reasons to have drones as well. Of course, marketing and advertising. All those personal enjoyment reasons make it just as good for taking pictures of houses or land from up on high are kind of pretty big motivations. Also, people like capturing events from different vantage points, kind of gives you the feeling of being at bigger events or things like that. And then probably everybody's seen the news that's been kind of happening for years, the future potential of possibly being able to ship our goods, all of our Amazon boxes. So that's out there. There's a lot of research. I don't know if that's 2 years away or 20 years, who knows. Any other motivations, Ken or anybody else on either why you got into drones, or any motivations for other people on the call on what makes them curious?
If it's legal.
Well, I was getting, this is Ken. While I was getting interested in photography, the vantage point that a drone can give you is, second to only taking pictures from an airplane. And I too am a licensed pilot. And it really gives you some awesome ideas of what you can do. Like Sister Bay last year, some friends were playing pickleball, and I took the drone up and videotaped them using the new pickleball courts up in Sister Bay, and gave them the footage to do with what they wanted. So there's really really neat things that you can do, and the vantage point. And as every generation comes out, the ability, the photography quality is getting better and better.
Jeff, I think I might have shared this story with you. I remember like my, when I was little, like people would show up at your house and they'd have those like photos of, you know, aerial photos of your house. So you want to buy this. And it was just like, I don't know, I guess I think that that's so cool. And then I ended up buying my husband a photo of his grandparents' farm from above. So I just feel like that whole aspect of it, like that, and then also if you do an event, like seeing the crowd from above, I think is really interesting. So I guess, you know, I guess the earth from above is really kind of something we don't see all the time. So I think that's probably why I'm interested.
Yep. Awesome.
Am I allowed to chase away geese?
The geese may take your drone out.
Yeah, I've flown within hundreds of feet of geese, and they've actually flown away. So I kind of, as long as you're safe and you're willing to take that risk, you kind of eke your way in on the geese. And I think the same way that we're a little bit weirded out by the buzzing kind of noise, I think the odds are in your favor. You could shoo them away. But yeah, I like Ken's advice. Be careful.
Well, I have a riskier proposition too. I have a bald eagle nest about 150 yards from my house. And it would be really fun to be able to peek in on that guy. Although I understand they may not like having something buzzing around.
Yeah.
There are stories that as long as you don't take any aggressive maneuvers towards wildlife, that most of them will coexist with you.
Yep. And I don't know about your drone, Ken, but my drone has a slow mode to it. And so like you can you can make yourself be real slow, and that might help too. So there's kind of ways, because otherwise it's like, yeah, you could go too fast and freak them out and make them wanna angry at your little drone.
And I was gonna say, if anyone's joining us on Facebook and they want to post a comment on the video, we can always share them that way. So I'll be watching Facebook, so.
Good. Okay, so just wanted, as we're talking about motivations and inspirations, you know, it sounds like we all have at least some aspect of overlap, that we just like seeing things from up on high. And that was definitely my motivation. So maybe your motivation is just to capture your favorite harbor that you live in close by. So I live in Ephraim, and these are just some shots from Eagle Harbor. You know, one, you know, from the marina looking out, and the other one, the one on the bottom is, of course, Anderson Dock and the Hardy Gallery. And again, this is just because I like seeing things from different angles. Maybe you have either for fun or a business reason to look at your own property. So this is our family farm in Bailey's Harbor, and this is our garden. And so, you know, you could theoretically take the exact same shot multiple times throughout the year and kind of see things that you might not see otherwise. Or for marketing, maybe you could kind of show the before and the after. You know, this is kind of peak season garden, and you can kind of see on the left-hand side all of our little raspberry and blackberry bushes, and you can see the rows of cucumbers and all the brassicas. So you can kind of see everything. So yeah, one, it's just for enjoyment, or two, you could actually use it practically to look at befores and afters, or look for trends that you might not be able to see from the ground or the close-up level. At our farm, we have cattle, and for a while we thought about putting electric tags on the ears, and then theoretically, and for a while we mused with the idea of being able to keep track out in the field. We're a pasture-based farm, and so you could count and identify every head of cattle if you flew over. We haven't done that because we'd have to kind of buy a drone that could carry the wand, you know, that could do it. But at this point, this was me right when I got the drone saying, hey, what what do our cattle look like when they're out in the field from up on high? And so I took some videos. So these are kind of more work and or aesthetic kind of flights that you could be doing. This, for anybody that's up here, is of course the ridges. And so why do they call it the ridges? Well, I don't know, go up there and look, see why they call it the ridges, and see the actual ridges themselves. And so this was me just taking a photo a week or two ago. So again, it's like you get motivated on whatever you're motivated about and see things from a new angle.
Jeff, what was the altitude, would you guess, when you took that picture?
That one, I think, was at right around the legal limit. In my drone is in meters. It's 120 meters, and the limit is 400 feet.
Right.
Okay, and then as a last thing, a lot of people just take because they want to take pictures of themselves, say a family. So this is just me 2 days ago knowing we were going to do this. I just took it out when we were having a little barbecue at my buddy's house. And this would be similar to like wedding photography, someone just kind of capturing them getting together. Jess, this is right before you got there.
That's a super selfie.
Yeah, exactly. So, which is, of course, quite cool. So, on this, anyone has any questions, we'll kind of roll into the real general rules. One, we already talked about, the height limit on what you can do as a drone operator is 400 feet vertical. And again, on my drone, when I'm flying it, when I get to 120 meters, it basically says you're at the limit. My drone, and no drones, basically it's like an honor system where it just tells you you're going above the limit, and so you stop there. But the drone is way more capable than that, and you can go up 1,000 meters if you wanted to. But that's the rule. Rule number one, don't go higher than 400 feet, and then stay within sight. Ken, do you have any other thoughts on that? It's
Well,
black and white rule, right?
we have what's called geofencing, and mine won't go above 400 feet. I can try to do it all day long, and it won't let me do it. And it has in the database, I don't know if it has cherry land to speak to the other person, but any major airport, it's not going to let me fly. Or if I'm near restricted airspace, I can get permission to do that for a specific reason. So.
Yeah. Okay. Good. That's a limit where you're allowed to fly and how you're allowed to fly. It's got to stay below 400 feet vertical, and you got to be able to be within sight of it. So don't fly it around buildings or behind the woods that you can't see. Another kind of rule is, of course, you got to start from flying it on your land or on public land, kind of an obvious private property kind of right. Couple of strong don'ts, and Ken kind of touched on this a little bit. We can't fly in any restricted airspace. That's kind of obvious because you're now in the airspace rules that you don't normally think about when you're on the land. Don't fly near airports. There are a couple of cases that got into the news a couple of months ago on that. And then obviously don't get anywhere near emergency response. If someone's fighting fires or doing anything kind of health related, obviously, like the last thing anybody would want is some buzzing thing around them. So those are rules. Also don'ts, kind of also obvious, don't fly over people. So this is still a piece of equipment with incredibly fast moving propellers. And so assume that at any given moment, the thing's gonna break. So don't get anywhere near a spot where if it does break, either because of yours or because of the machine's problem, that it doesn't hurt anybody. So don't fly over people. You can't fly over any big public events, stadiums, or sporting events. And then national parks have very specific rules, similar to flying, human flying on airplanes. There's a lot of restrictions around national parks, but I believe national parks have a total prohibition with the idea that it's really just for everybody to enjoy the parks, and almost nobody wants to hear the little buzzing machine around them. Ken, can you think of anything I'm missing on the real general?
No, You're doing a good job, Jeff.
Okay, good. So a couple of more specific rules, or kind of where we start triggering kind of more things that you got to do. One is if your drone is heavy, and so some people just choose to stay below. So 250 grams is a very light drone, and I ended up, the drone that I'll talk about in a little bit is 249 grams for the specific purpose of I'm just a rookie and I wanted to try a capable but small model, but it also is made to avoid having to go through an FAA registration that makes you have to have a little number and a sticker. I don't think that's a big deal, but it's just like I just wanted to know that it's just my little remote control device. That's the rule right now. That might change in the future. So that's one kind of trigger rule that makes it so there's like paperwork involved, just like boats and a number of other kind of things you would own. Another trigger point is if you're making money or if you're trying to make money, say a commercial drone person, say you're taking money at weddings or something like that to do photography, that requires you to take an FAA test and be certified as well as the person, as the drone operator. Ken, sounds like, Ken, you have a heavier one, so you've gone through.
Yeah, to your point, here's my drone and there's my number. I'm a hobbyist, so it's an online test that you take, and it's very easy, especially for somebody that has an aviation background. And then I can do almost everything. The only thing I can't be is compensated for the use of my drone and the pictures I take. So that's the other thing.
I understand if you can't answer this, but you see that the rules are getting more or less restrictive on drones, particularly the registration. Does the 250 grams going to go up or down, or just stay the same?
I think I heard some writing on the wall that like by this year, in 2020, and it's probably not going to happen, but I heard last year that in 2020, there was going to be even all of us amateur little drone people were going to have to at least go through the registration. And so that is not a rule right now, but I heard it's kind of imminent. So yeah, I think some limited amount. As far as I know, it's not.
I'll speak a little to that. They had a proposed rulemaking, and they're looking for people to put their opinion in. And I think that was like last fall, if I remember correctly, or maybe early 2020. And it's looking out for about 3 years from now, and they could restrict it quite heavily. Especially when there's discussions about they're worried about terrorists and things like that. They're also worried about interfering with Amazon or any other delivery people that might try to deliver from your with drones. So there's the discussion of how much do they want to know who you are and where you are and what's going to be done for that. So I mean, conceivably, if I go out flying, somebody, Jeff, you could look on your app and see that it's Ken flying in front of the Crest library in Egg Harbor, and know exactly my position and who I am. And there's things discussed about that, but that we have no idea right now to what the extent of the limitations and requirements are going to be. Probably 3 years.
Yeah.
Very good answer. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or clarifications on any of the general or specific rules?
I assume I can find somewhere on the internet whether it's Fairyland Airport and what the restricted airspace is around Fairyland.
Yeah, good point on your earlier question, Jim. If I were living in Sturgeon Bay like you, it would make me invest either in an app or the nautical map to know what the airspace boundaries are. I'm up in Ephraim, there's just like the uncontrolled little airport. So I'm not worried about kind of a rule that wouldn't be obvious, but yeah, that's my recommendation, is either to get the app there's a couple of different apps. I don't know, I heard they exist, or actually just get the old fashioned map. That's what I do to know exactly where the boundaries are. I don't know, Ken, do you have any other advice on that for someone that has a real airport near them?
Yeah, you can go on FAA.gov and start drilling down on the website to get to the drones, and they'll have some really good guidance there for you.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay, next up, just wanted to talk a little bit about at least my decision-making process, and then see what questions come out. So obviously, to commit to having a drone, you just got to do research. There's a whole bunch of drones out there now. There's little drones for $50 that are real low performance. But I'm assuming everybody that's kind of interested in talking now or talking about like a decent drone with decent photography and video capability, and the price point there, I think, really starts at about $400. The one that I got is this little, it's similar to the white one on this screen. It's the DJI Mini Mavic, the Mavic Mini, and that's about $400 because it was my first one, and because looking at all the reviews, it's highly capable $400 unit that can that has almost the same kind of skills and competencies that a lot of the other ones in the $400 to $2,000 range are. And you can find a lot of info online. If you just Google like drone, best drones, you'll get a lot of strong opinions on it, or compare drones, you'll get a lot of good little tables, and I'll show you one example of it on the next slide. Main thing though, in general, fly time with one little battery that goes on this tiny little remote control airplane, almost all of them are 20 to 30 minutes. So really, from my searching, the criteria for picking what you want really doesn't have to do with fly time or range. It usually has more to do with like how good a photo or video quality you need, because that's, so the difference between, from my viewing and research, the difference between the $400 one and the $2,000 one is like, yeah, how detailed, how good resolution your photos got to be, or the video. There's also some stabilization criteria. Anywhere from $400 to $2,000 means you have a good gimbal design where it's pretty darn stable, but that $2,000 one is going to be a lot more stable, along with the extra weight that it has is really mostly has to do with good video and photography with the camera on it. So those are kind of my general thoughts. This is a kind of a lot of details on a couple of different types of Mavics. And so the one that I bought is the one on the left. The leftmost column is the Mavic Mini, and that's $400 base. You end up putting another $200 or $300 into getting more batteries and a case if you're interested. Whereas the one that Ken has, and it has with him right now, is the Pro on the right-hand side column. We don't have to go through everything on here, but there's a couple of things to highlight. So the one that I have way on the left-hand column, 249 grams. So it's right at the 250 or below set point that makes it so you don't have to go through any FAA certification. It's just you and your little mini drone. So that's kind of a criteria. You can kind of see some of the other details on that. Whereas swing over to say the higher performance one that Ken has, it's 907 grams, so almost 1 kilogram, which is about 2 pounds. So on obvious note, these are still tiny. Mine's less than a pound, and Ken's is like around 2 pounds, right? That sound about right, Ken?
Yeah.
And so with those 2 pounds, let's maybe highlight from this table, and then Ken can talk about it, what you get. So starting from the top, three rows down, you get to range. So the range on Ken, on the Pro, is 8 kilometers versus my little guy only has 4 kilometers. And so in miles, that's roughly half, like 2 miles versus 4 miles.
Let me stop you there, Jeff. I think don't be necessarily, for somebody looking the range. you're not going to see, you have to stay within the ability to see your drone all the time. Otherwise, you're in violation of the rules.
Yep.
The 8 kilometers, that's 5 miles. You're not going to see this at 5 miles. So, or any drone at 5 miles. But the nice part about that particular thing is that it has a signal strength to go that far. So any interference or, trees or something in the way that could be blocking a weak signal is going to get through. That's, it has to do with your transmitter and the receiver on the drone. So but I mean, again, these distances, I mean, heck, if you could see it at a mile, I think you'd be lucky.
Yep. Yeah, very good clarification. I am kind of risky with mine, and I've never gone near it because I'll start getting a little error on my controller. Anytime I'm about a mile away, it'll say lost radio signal, and that's even with a very clear sight between me and the controller and my drone. So as a result, yeah, these ranges are theoretical for what the companies have tested on these. But yeah, that's a very good point. You're not going to, the range barely matters because of the visual and or because your controller might not be able to have a really good signal connection between you and your controller and the drone. Okay, other thing, the site looks like about 6 rows down, you can see the battery life. And so this is where almost all like decent drones are between 20 and 30 minutes. That 20 minutes to me, I'm looking at the Mavic Air, the second column to the left, a 21-minute battery would be a real bugger for me, and it would make me not want that. And so for me, I would, I'd start with 30 minutes, and that's 30 minutes for one battery. So it basically means you're gonna fly your little guy for 30 minutes or less, usually less. If you're flying way up or way over or it's windy, you're kind of eating away at the battery life. But in general, you're gonna get 30 minutes for a good one, and then you're gonna run out of battery. And so at that moment, you gotta know that you're probably gonna invest in a couple of batteries because you'll have just missed that thing you wanted to capture a little bit more video. So almost everybody is going to have 2 or 3 batteries so they can fly a couple of times. What else to cite on here? There's a lot of numbers, but basically from the left-hand column, the little drones to the rightmost column, the biggest trend to me is the numbers on photo size and photo quality. That because the weight of my little drone on the left-hand side column is so small, it's got a lot less good kind of lens and picture capability. It's still pretty good, but it's not, to me, when I look at my photos, they're not as pixelated, as high resolution as you would want using just kind of the criteria you normally have as having a really good iPhone in your hand all the time. It's not as good because you're kind of getting the big panorama, the big vista. I don't know, Ken, you have any thoughts on that? What was photo and video quality a big part of your criteria?
Yeah, I kind of waited until the Mavic 2 Pro came out because it had an inch sensor in it. Most of the sensors in the other drones are the same that's in a cell phone. So they built this around the camera. They got the camera and built the drone around that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any questions from anybody on the call?
Is the controller that you start with pretty much the same on all of them? Or do you get upgrades on controllers and controllability of the drone as you go up in price?
Good question. I'll answer mine. I don't know all the other ones. My controller is and we'll show this in a couple minutes. We're going to hook my little iPhone into this controller, like it's kind of a package deal where your phone connects to the little plastic remote control device. But there are other ones that are like their own controller. So I'll show mine. But yeah, Ken, do on the higher end ones, do they have like a bigger or different controller, or is it still kind of an iPhone based thing or a phone based thing?
Well, the only thing with the phone is to give you a video of what your drone sees, and that's really the case. So I have a iPad Mini attached to my controller, but I think that's where we get the difference in the controllers would be why you get an 8 kilometer difference versus a 4 kilometer that Jeff has. So I think that my controller, you know, I haven't seen yours. It's too bad. Do you have yours right there, Jeff?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I can wait to see it. I didn't even realize that you just used an iPad or iPhone to.
That's my controller, and there's the Mini for the screen, and it's easier for me. I can put my smartphone on it, which I have done. That's nice if you're doing a backpack thing, and I don't want to haul an iPad. But to control it, to see all the options, to see the video feed coming back, the iPad Mini works out perfectly. Different manufacturers other than DJI, they'll have controllers that have the video in it automatically. So different ones do different things. This is just the way DJI does it. And so it gives you flexibility. So.
Yep, and yeah, it's quite similar. Here's mine. So here's the iPhone, and here's the controller. And we'll show this in a sec, but basically it's just one little cable connecting from the phone, just as Ken was saying. So you can, this screen will literally show the video or the real time what the drone is seeing, the little camera in the drone.
That's great.
Sounds like.
And just backing up 1 second. So on that list on the chart there, it said Wi-Fi is the signal, and then the other one had some code. I might have missed that part, but was it like, so is the other one cell phone signal?
Well,
or
you connect the cell phone with a wire to the controller.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, and I know what you're saying, Jess.
But you don't need Wi-Fi to use it, right?
No.
Okay, got it. Okay, I see. That makes it clear for me then.
Yeah, it's a good question. Because Wi-Fi is not going to go 4 kilometers.
No.
Right,
No.
right.
I'm going to bet it's a UHF frequency. I'd have to look it up, but it's going to be a line of sight somewhere in the frequency of UHF or VHF.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think why it says Wi-Fi there is it's like, yeah, clearly what matters when you're flying the drone are these antennas that are talking from the controller to the drone. But I think the Wi-Fi thing is relating to the fact of when you get back home or you get your drone back down and you want to get the detailed photos and videos on your phone, I think that part is Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. It might be, but there's a way that you definitely you don't even need Wi-Fi because you can do this out in the field. But you can basically from your controller say, grab those photos, and it takes a little bit of time, but maybe that's still the antenna. So I don't know that actually.
Yeah.
Do you know how we get the photos and video from the drone onto the phone through the controller?
It comes through the controller. Also, mine has a card in it that can also, it'll record, but it has its own internal memory in addition to the memory card that's in there.
Yep.
Got it.
And so you can Wi-Fi it to your phone or your computer is probably what I'm going to say you can do.
Cool. All right. Well, should we go out there and see you fly a little bit?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So I'm gonna take my phone and bring it out there. So I'll meet you outside.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay. Masks on.
Ken, if you could just mute your laptop there, and we'll head out.
How do I mute it?
You can just leave it. You can leave it, actually. That's okay. No big deal.
Okay. I'm going to just close it.
Yeah. All right. You're on film.
Okay, good. So just to talk through all the different parts, it's pretty obvious, but this is how you would get it in the mail. And so again, this is the 249 gram one, so the small one, and you get this carrying case, and then here's all the stuff that you get with it. This would be the $400 base model plus, I think it was about $200 or $250 or something to get batteries in the case. All right, so that's how you get it in the mail. Obviously, you don't carry that around with you after that. And so here are the pieces. Let's talk through how the easy setup would go. So step one, the drone itself. And the drone, all of them are a little different, I'm assuming. But this one, yep, this one it's got 4 little arms on it. It's really dainty. The whole thing is less than a pound. So it's kind of like amazing that this thing works the way it does. So it's got 4 little arms that come out. One other little thing, this is the camera, and so you got to take the little protective cover off. There's a lot of technology in that little camera to make sure it kind of stays level when it's in operation. Okay, so yep, and so we can show the little guy and the big guy.
Okay, yep, that helps with the scale too, for sure.
Yep, so Mavic 2, so this is the Pro, this is, and then this is the little Mavic Mini. Okay, one other part, if we turn them around, we'll talk through maybe the battery. Same, mine's right different here. Okay, good. So the battery on the little guy is this little tube in the back, right in the little bum of the drone. Little guy, and then here's the big one.
Okay,
for the big one.
So Jeff, yours is 30 minutes, right?
Yep. They're both the big one and the little one are 30 minutes, and that just relates to mine's a little drone. That battery takes it longer, but it's lower weight, and so Ken's is a bigger drone with a bigger battery, so it's roughly the same kind of equivalent.
Okay.
Both 30 minutes though, and that's important. So batteries in, and in general, almost everybody's gonna have a couple of batteries with them. So there's this little battery pack that just is the storage mechanism and how you charge it. But in general, when you go out to the field, you'll go out with all 3 of them charged. And so when you go on one flight for 30 minutes, then you know you got the second one and the third one. Okay.
Got it.
So from here, just important that, of course, you find really flat ground. Oh, Ken's got high-tech landing pad.
Oh, a landing
system
pad.
going on. I love it.
Ooh.
So yeah, in general, I'm a pretty loose kind of operator, but in general, you just need flat ground. You wouldn't want to fly in a bunch of kind of pine needles or chips or anything like that, because of course these are going to start spinning really fast and things will move around. Again, it's got to be flat, because if it was, say, a rock with undulation to it, you just need it to be able to fly up real perfectly and clean. So in general, concrete like this, or having some kind of even a box. I've been out in the field and I'll just put a cardboard box down.
Okay.
Very similar to kind of the landing pad thing. Okay, talk through the other parts. So here's the remote controller we're talking about. It's real small. Reminds me of my old Nintendo or Sega remote controller. Okay, so take the antennas out. That's how we're going to communicate from my phone controller to the drone. From here, there are these 2 little holders and this little wire. Yep, you can kind of see the comparison, roughly the
Mhm.
exact same setup, just a
Mhm.
little different. Okay, inside this little thing are these little knobs, so you can control like this, and in some ways it's easier to be more subtle and nuanced, but in some performance kind of areas it's better to have these little joystick knobs on there. So we'll
Okay,
do
those
that.
just pop out then.
They just pop out of here. Yep, and
Okay.
same
I
as
already
yours.
screwed mine in.
Yep.
This is what how DJI does it. Other manufacturers do it differently.
Mhm.
Nothing's. I wanted this so that I could put it in a backpack and go hiking. Some drones are much larger
Mhm.
and they take a huge backpack. I mean, almost like an overnight backpack
Oh
to
wow.
carry them around.
Mhm.
So it all depends on how you want to use it.
Mhm.
I mean, there's some that have 5 motors.
Mhm.
So if you lose a motor, you can fly on the 4. If we lose a motor, we crash. I mean, so there's all these different things in there.
Yeah.
They actually have floats
Oh, really?
put on these things so that if it hits the water,
Yeah.
it won't sink.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. That's it. Okay. So here's the whole setup right now, but right now we don't have a way to watch it, as Ken was talking about. You kind of need the ability to see. Makes it a whole lot easier to control. So
okay.
on your iPhone, you would download this app that says DJI Fly. Okay, and that's what we're going to use. And we're going to connect the two. And I think this is both iPhone and Android compatible. I didn't do a
Yes.
whole lot of other research. Okay.
Yes. But I prefer, and I think it's really, it's better with Apple. I
Is it?
actually I swapped
Okay.
from a Droid
Really?
to Apple
Okay.
because of that reason.
Okay. Good. Okay, so from here, we have the physical hardware already. We just got to turn everything on. So first I'm going to turn the DJI on. Okay. And then we're going to turn the drone on. Okay. On the back side, this little button,
Mhm.
double on. Kind of moves around a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Looks like a bug coming to life.
It wants me to calibrate.
Yeah, it is like a bug coming to life. It's like a little. It's like it's sci-fi. It's totally a sci-fi.
It does feel like that. Yeah.
So, is your light all the way up on your phone? Is it as bright as it can go? Let's check that really quick. So
Yeah,
we
good
can
idea.
maybe-
It is.
Okay. Okay.
Yep, good point. All right. And so from here, so we can see the drone just sitting on the ground ready to go. It's got a little blinking green light going on. And then my screen itself.
Okay. Yeah, we can see Ken there.
Yeah, it's a little complicated. So there's not so much stuff going on the
Glare.
screen. So yeah, so right now, basically, as Ken mentioned, the whole point of the iPhone in this thing is just to be able to know and have the real-time video of what the drone is seeing.
Yep. Oh yeah, tilt it a little bit because it's a little bit glary. Yep. There you go. Yep. Okay.
Good.
Okay.
From here, so I think we're ready to fly. It's worth noting there are a couple of different modes. I haven't really looked in. There's a sport mode that you can go faster. There's a movie smooth mode, which is slower. And then there's a P mode. I don't even know what that is. So,
And the sport mode allows you to fly faster and quicker utilization of the joysticks and everything, more maneuverable.
Yep.
But it cancels out your collision avoidance.
so it's
So you
fun,
can hit.
risky mode.
I could try.
Yeah.
I could actually try to fly mine into you, and it will stop about here, and I could go full forward and it won't do it.
Really?
In the sport mode, it would do it.
Ah, fascinating.
Okay, so that's just one little subtle thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Subtle.
interesting.
Okay, so for our point of view, I went to the movie mode because it's slow and that seems safe for 4 of us playing around with this thing. Okay, another couple of things.
Should we turn a little bit?
Yeah,
It's
turn.
the glare
Can you
is
see
like
the
a
light?
little-
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple of basically you can set some parameters, some limits on this thing right off the bat, like how high you want to let this puppy go. Like I could superimpose and not let myself reach the allowable limit, the legal limit of 120 meters, which is about 400 feet. I could do that. I don't. But you can kind of superimpose kind of like parental controls on your thing. And that's the max altitude. You could limit that to 120. You could max your distance. You could say, oh, I don't want this thing to get out of control, and you could make your max distance only go 100 meters or something. But I just leave all the limits open, knowing that I'm in control. So, okay, so I think we're ready to get started. Anyone have any questions or requests?
Take mine off here and use that? Would you like to?
Yeah, sure.
Do you ever return to base?
I
home?
generally don't use it. I just do it manually.
Well,
That was actually one question I had was whether there's,
Yeah, I love it.
Jim, sorry, what did you say your question was?
that was actually one question I had, whether there's a return to base or ET come home sort of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to talk about it a little bit? I don't use it.
Are you asking what return to base
home.
is?
Yeah, does it have one?
Well, okay, there's a couple of things. If you run out to your battery down to a certain level, I don't know about yours, but mine will automatically come home. I have it set to go to 200 feet, fly right overhead, and it'll drop down and land automatically.
Wow.
I also can, if I lose it and I lost sight of it and I don't know where it is, I can hit return to base, return to home, and it will come. And I'll demonstrate that for you if you'd like, and just show you. And it comes down, and it's incredible how it lands. And if you've done any flying of any radio control airplanes, you're always having to compensate for a wind change, a gust, any change in thermals or anything that happens. This, we can raise it up here and let it just sit, go in and have a cup of coffee for 30 minutes, and it'll come back down and land. It won't move. It's all gyro stabilized, GPS stabilized. They are so easy to fly compared to radio control airplanes.
What about the Mini? Do you know if you have the same stuff?
Yep. The Mini does have that. And the reason I turned it over to Ken, because I'm just new to this thing and I manually land it every time. But it does have this go home. And just like Ken said, when it gets to, but I haven't changed it at all. It's like a 5 minute. Whenever it gets to 5 minutes left of the battery, it's continually is going to keep telling me go home, and I have to say cancel to not have it go home. The default is like at the 5 minutes left in the battery, it's going to try and take itself home, and it's the same thing. It's the same model as Ken's. It's like the pre-programmed is fly. I think it's fly radially, to the home point and then go down is kind of its main.
It climbs to the altitude you set.
Yep.
And then it flies home, and it turns 180 degrees and comes down.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. It's incredible technology.
It is.
I'll demo it for you. Okay, I need to be on this side. I'll demo it for you when I fly.
Yeah. Good.
Okay. The same sort of obstacle avoidance also.
Sorry, say again?
Both of them have the same sort of obstacle and avoidance, or you may not know.
Ooh, good question. Do they have the same obstacle avoidance? I don't really know.
Think you have the same that I do. I have some passive and I have some active.
Okay.
And that's hence the difference between $400 and $1,600.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yep. Good question. Okay, so main goals here are quite humble, quite modest. We just want to learn how to fly this thing and kind of show how to fly it with the certain controls. So we'll fly it up and down. Does anyone have any requests on certain shots they want of the beautiful library here? Otherwise, we'll just fly it around and check all the different degrees of freedom.
Yeah, let's just fly it around.
All right.
Well, so I'm gonna try to get your screen, but it's pretty glary.
Yeah.
So
maybe this. Tell me what's a good angle.
Jim, can you see that?
I'm doing fine. Yes.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
Will this be? Can you fly it? With me right here?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. So, okay. So step 1. Well, step 0. Make sure everything's got the right battery power. So I got 4 white lights. I charge these, up to this morning. So that all batteries are full, including the iPhone. The controller's got its own battery, and then the drone has its own little portable battery that we showed. So make sure they're all set. Set limits in advance if you want them. And then we're ready to fly. So there's this little up arrow, and it says you're ready to take off. You got to hold down the button. Okay, and we watch. Does this little beehive high pitch thing. Okay, and so from here, let's just try all the different degrees of freedom. So this left joystick is the up and down, as well as the yaw. So first I'm going to go up and down to show the vertical up and down. Going up, now down. Okay, I'm going to get it a little bit away from us, just so we're a little safer. And so the other remote control is forward, that's in the horizontal direction, and sideways. So this one is basically in the horizontal. So I'm going to go forward to get it a little bit away from us right now. Okay, and then I'll check the right, left. You can kind of see it go right, what its dynamics are. It, you know, just like a helicopter, it's got to kind of lean into it to move, to make that sideways. So I'm going to go left. Okay, and so from here, and then the last thing we didn't show, back on this controller, again, this is up and down for vertical up and down. And then the side to side is the yaw direction, to spin around in a circle. So to go left is to spin around counterclockwise. So I'm going to show that. And it's going to go towards us real slow. Okay, so now it's facing us. I'm in a really slow mode right now. So normally you'd be in a lot faster, but this hopefully so we can all see it easier. So go back the other way to spin away from us. So again, yeah, I went into the Cine mode, which is like movie mode or something like that. And that's why it's like super slow. So it's kind of like a super safe mode. All right, from here, maybe we can just show what happens on this screen when we start flying it. So my main advice as a super rookie on this thing is when we're flying it, like really get used to controlling it with your eyes. So, because you're really training your fingers and your hands to make it an extension of you. So I'm going to basically just fly it up and spin it around to look back at us and the library. So I'm going up. And in the beginning, until you're good, you just do one motion at a time. But when you start getting better, you can do two things at a time. So right now we just went up and we're right around the tree level. Now I'm going to give ourselves a little bit of distance. I'm going to fly it away from us. So now it's flying. This is away from Egg Harbor towards the Peg Egan concert area and the orchards right next to it. And now it flew it away from us. And so now I'm going to spin it around. Okay, and that's the spin around yaw direction. And make it point towards us. Okay. The default direction on the camera is just straight out. Okay. But then the one control I didn't talk about yet is this little guy right here is the video direction. If you want to make it go, its current direction is straight out, but a lot of times you'll want to go down. So I'm going to spin it down so it's got a better angle.
Oh, yeah.
So now you get to see all of us if we all wave. Okay. That's always fun. It's kind of a cerebral, goofy moment to say hi to yourself. And so from here, yeah, we get a good view. So now let's say, hey, how do we take a photo? So on the top of the controller, this is the red is like video, just like you used to seeing on a video camera. This guy over here is the camera. And so I'm gonna make sure it's in camera mode. I'm going to take a phone call now. And so at this point, it's a beautiful shot of us and the library. So we're going to take a photo of that. Okay. And now we can kind of experiment. So let's see what happens when we go up and see how the vantage point changes. And I'll go up. Hopefully on the computer, you can kind of see what we're doing. So we're going up. Okay. I get a quick warning. It says strong wind. This comes in for me and mine a lot. Anytime there's anything more than the 15 or 20 mile per hour wind, it'll warn me to say, be careful, because this thing is so light. But in general, whenever I've gotten that warning, it gives me a warning, but it seems very conservative because it really hasn't ever got out of control. It just warns you. And usually you just acknowledge it, but it feels like it's kind of a spurious heavy wind there. All right, so we're kind of up high. I do recommend whenever you're doing this, you might as well turn off notifications on your phone, because we just saw some phone messages come in. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's a good idea. Okay, so we'll take one more photo. Anybody either on the ground or online have any questions on functionality? Our main goal was just to show how it works, so you can kind of get over the, is it easy? And it is pretty easy. You just got to practice. But unless anyone has any questions or suggestions, we'll get Ken to fly his and show the return home feature.
Great.
So when you're not pushing anything, it just hovers there.
Amazingly, yeah.
We
Okay.
can have our cup of coffee, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
Yep,
Wow.
And
Okay.
it'll stay there.
Wow.
Yep, and you can see how much time we have to have coffee. We got 18 minutes right now. And it actually moves around a lot. Like if you fly up real fast, the time will go down just on the way the battery is calculating.
Mhm.
But right now we got 16 or 17 minutes to go have coffee, and it is kind of amazing. It's just going to sit right there like a
Wow.
helicopter, like a magical little helicopter.
Little pet.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Okay, so unless anyone has any questions, I'm taking her home.
Name her?
I did not name her. That's a good idea, though, Janine. I should. Kind of like turns into your little baby. So flying her home, we get to look at her height, 33 meters. I'm sure there's a way to change this to feet and stuff. Okay, but I just leave it. So yeah, 30 meters, and it's 29 meters vertically away from us. You can kind of tell it's kind of far away. So again, we're just flying her home real manually right now. Almost nobody does this, I don't think, but I do it because it's fun. Yeah,
It's more fun to fly it yourself.
yeah. When it's flying at you, you kind of got to figure out. You got to like do some mental gymnastics because everything is a little bit opposite. But flying near, I'll change two things at once. I'll change the camera so it's better if we're looking at us. Change the angle towards us. We'll fly home.
So if God forbid you crash the thing.
Right.
Okay, so now we'll get back. This is my first time landing on a launch pad, so we're going to get away from the launch pad a little bit.
If the wind makes the thing fall down in your field when you're chasing cows, is there a way of helping you find your poor departed drone?
Jeff, did you hear that?
No, it was about. I think I heard you. Yeah.
If it drops somewhere because of the wind, is there a way to help you find it?
I don't know the answer to that. Well,
Okay.
when he gets back over here, we'll ask him.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yes, Ken said that there is. Yep.
I'm afraid mine will go in the water though.
Yeah. I worry about that a lot too. I fly over the water all the time. I'm pretty sure whenever I lose it, I'm going to lose it altogether. Okay. So I'm right above the launch pad. This is a very manual drop. And so at this moment, I already know it's safe. We're looking at it. We see it right above the little launch pad. I feel a little bit like a very inferior SpaceX right now, landing its rockets in the middle of the ocean. I'm just landing my little thing 2 feet away. So to land, it's real simple. When you know it's a safe land, like I could go grab it and tell it that I want to grab it, and that's a little more complicated. The safest way is to find a good flat piece of land and then hit the land button, and it's just the opposite of when we took off. And I hold it down. And sometimes it basically says, if it's not sure when it looks down that it's flat, it'll give you a warning. But it was flat, and she's landed.
Yay!
Yay.
There is a function to locate your drone with your controller if it gets lost.
Even in the water, right?
No, not in the water. Nice try.
Let me see if I can see yours.
Let's see. Let me
Just a little.
close this.
I'm seeing well enough. Don't worry too much
Okay,
about
good.
it.
Okay.
Would you rather watch the drone fly or look at my picture? What would you rather do?
Your choice.
No, it's up to you.
Let's see the drone fly. The higher controlling it.
And mine will tell you that it's taken a position. And it's just a different frequency in the.
Have you ever had a motor fail?
No. I need to knock on some wood. Somebody hit my head.
Can you say what you said before, Ken? If a motor goes down, is it still okay, like an airplane, or
No, not for the no.
Okay, no way.
No, on the five propeller ones, yes.
Okay.
I'll turn it around. And then see, you can see I'm aimed at the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll bring it down to us like he did. There we are.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the bay would be much prettier. And you want to fly looking at your drone.
So the etiquette is to not fly over there and look at those houses, right?
Right. Now there's the bay.
Oh, yeah, very nice.
Well,
Got it, Jimmy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Looking good.
Yeah, see, we go a little higher.
Yeah.
And then I can do, let's see, there's a bird. I'll do a panoramic. There's the harbor. What am I photo?
you use video or photo?
Well, right now I'm on just taking photographs, not video. I'm just doing a 360 for you.
Yeah.
At the horizon.
Oh, very good.
And Jeff's can do the same thing. Chambers Island. Then we can look down at us. There we are.
Very good.
Nice.
Okay. There's my car. Who's going in my car?
Mm.
Okay. Let's see. I'm at 171 feet. Okay. Look up and see if you can get it. See the drone at 171 feet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, that was an abrupt stop. You get it going. But anyhow, so now I'll return to home. I'm gonna stand away. Hey.
So it's important when you take off to have clear blue sky above you, not any obstructions.
Right. Nice.
Actually, it did pretty crappy.
Yeah,
Oh.
it didn't hit your didn't hit your helicopter, your H.
Yeah, it's usually right on.
Maybe it got the other scent of the other drone on there and it didn't
Yeah,
want
maybe.
to.
So there you go. Any questions for me?
No, it's really an impressive piece of equipment and a very impressive presentation.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. This is Jeff's show.
Yeah. So, yeah, cool. Yeah, I don't think we have anything else here.
No, I don't think we have anything else.
No, that's it.
Yes, today, and thanks Jess for doing all the technology.
Absolutely.
That's our building manager at the Crest Pavilion, and thank Jeff and Ken.
Very
We couldn't
welcome.
have done it without them.
Yeah.
Our pleasure.
Our next program is metal detectors on October 8th.
Oh no, October 1st we have
Oh,
fall
yes.
fall foraging
Yes.
with the herbal pharmacist David
Yeah.
Laluzern on the 1st, and then the metal detectors on the 8th.
What's our best way to stay in touch with all these things? I didn't know about them.
Follow us on Facebook, either the Crest Pavilion or the Door County Library page. Also on both websites on our calendar. So,
Okay, great.
all right, thank you.
That's terrific program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.